My name's Chet Buchanan. I do a morning radio show on 98.5 KLUC here in Las Vegas, and I'm the public address announcer for the Seattle Kraken. I'm here in Las Vegas now, so I don't have any Kraken stuff up, but yeah, in fact, I just started that. So it's super exciting. That's a National Hockey League franchise in Seattle, Washington. During the summer, I'm the public address announcer for the Las Vegas Aces, which is WNBA, women's professional basketball, and I host events and do television and all kinds of stuff.
That's exciting stuff. And you guys want to check out KLUC, it's KLUC.com, and we'll also put that in the video. Can you talk a little bit about your background, about how you got into professional broadcasting?
Man, so the short version of a longer story is I was an only child, so I spent a lot of time out in the driveway, playing basketball and listening to the radio and certainly radio was a lot more important in the 70s and 80s than it really is now. But it was super important to me, and I kind of always I just kind of gravitated to it. And at one point, I was a sophomore in high school, and I had a part-time job, and they were doing a live broadcast, and I basically said, I'll do anything if you guys will just let me hang out. And so they said, sure, show up on Monday. And basically I went to the radio station, and for the summer and the better part of the next fall, I washed the van and swept the parking lot and didn't get paid and didn't care. And I still kind of subscribe to that policy. Anything I've ever done for the money has not turned out great. The money will follow. And you'll hear a lot of people that will tell you, find something you love, and you never work a day in your life, and and all of that. And that's not true, because you will still work. But the money will come. And that much I can promise you. The money will come.
Absolutely. One of the kids messaged in the chat. They wanted to know, do you see the influence of technology being more advantageous to kids nowadays, should they want to follow in the professional broadcasting industry?
Honestly, I think it's I think you have a lot more opportunities to sharpen the skills, if that's what you really want to do. You can do a podcast, and you can figure out what works, and you can figure out how to be your authentic self, in front of a microphone. And you can also learn how to put on a show. Because I always tell people, you want to be you, but you kind of want to be you plus 10%. You want to be you plus 20%, just a little bigger version of you, because you are in front of a crowd, so to speak. But yeah, there's a lot of opportunities to figure out if you're actually good at it. On the flip side of it, it's made it harder. When I was a kid, when I started, I was 15 years old, and I said, let me sweep the parking lot and wash the van. That also turned into, I'll be the one that works the overnight shift. I would kill to be on overnights, especially since the overnight shift was 6 hours long. And so you got paid for another hour or 2 hours or whatever it was, or I would kill to be the guy that ran the countdown show, American Top 40 or whatever it was on the weekends. So, and that's now it's all automated. It's all done by computer. So yes, I think it helps you as a performer. But getting your foot in the door, it's a lot harder. And I think you've got to be real, and you got to be real serious about, I don't think you have to decide that that's what you're going to do with your whole entire life right out of the chute. But I think you need to decide that, I would say this about a lot of things. Do things that you're serious about. Do things that you mean. Do things that you're going to do with your heart. You're just going to show up like, whatever, I'll see if it's okay and everything. Stop wasting people's time, and stop wasting your own time. Be intentional with what you do. So little longer. That answered probably an additional question, but
No, you're fine. Well, thank you for that answer. It's very like poignant. One of the kids they asked beyond that question if they, and that kind of goes along lines with how you're saying take it seriously. And they want to know, do you recommend any particular broadcasting schools in America? Because we have students around the world on this right now.
I am a believer. Okay, now this comes from a guy who for fun taught broadcast school for a while, and it was cool. And to be honest with you, I took the curriculum that they had because I was young and thought I knew everything. But I mean, I took their curriculum and I threw it out because I went, this isn't how you're going to get a job. Yes, there are certain things that I can teach you about editing and whatever, and how to phrase things and that kind of thing that will help you. But I think as far as again, as far as broadcasting and that kind of thing, I think you either have it or you don't. I mean it really, and I think if you have it or you don't. I will also say that does not. I don't believe that social media translates. Just because you've got a ton of followers and just because you're getting a lot of engagement on social doesn't necessarily mean you'll be great on radio or television. And but again, I think it gives you a platform to know if you're good at telling stories, if you're good in front of the camera, if you're good behind a microphone. I think but as far as broadcast schools, yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I think I would be somewhere where I could get a good education. I would study, I would get marketing, economics, finance, all of those things that can help you to run your life, as you're getting, and again, be intentional about your education too. Know what you're going to do with that. Have a plan. Go in with a plan. Don't just go in and go, well, this sounds fun. I think I'm going to get, I know my goddaughter got a psychology degree and it was garbage because she didn't do anything with it. She wasn't intentional about it. It was an easy degree. So she did it. It was fine, but she wasted 4 years of her life,
Well, I got my BA in broadcast journalism, so that's how I met you.
Right. And then it just turned out, but you were intentional. We met because you were working at a news station.
I wanted to. And I saw that a lot of people who started as interns were further along than I was because while I was going to school. So it was very I didn't have what these kids have on here now to where we can connect them to professionals where they recommend, if you want to do this, go to this school or, study this, where a lot of broadcasters that we brought on here where they say intern first and make sure this is what you want and then go to college if that's what you want and work at a top 30 rated city or something like that.
Get in wherever you can.
Yeah, get in
now.
Wherever you can.
Mean, because now it is so compressed. The business is so compressed. Literally my show, it's me and two other people, and we're the only live bodies on our station. There's one other guy that'll do part-time shifts and stuff like that. So it's hard. And I think like a lot of things, there's going to be, the rubber band is stretched and eventually it's going to snap. It's going to snap back. And I think eventually there'll be a trend where it will go back to having live bodies. Cause I think they'll find out that's, right now the economic plan is how can we spend as little money as possible? Yeah. And I think at some point it's going to be like, okay, well, if you want to drive a nice car, you got to spend money.
Sure.
If you want to drive a fast car that's got all the bells and whistles, then you've got to spend some money for that car. You can't just go out and go, well, I'm going to take this regular car and it'll be fine. It'll get me from point A to point B, but it's not going to be the one I want. And I think broadcasting is going to be the same way. Where they're going to go, well, it's okay, but we probably need to do a little more.
Yeah.
And eventually also they're going to be like, okay, guys like me, I'm not going to be around forever. And then what happens? Where are they going to find the next you? Where are they going to find the next, Esther or Roberta or Rebecca or Christine? Where are they going to find you? You're going to watch this and then you're going to go, now what? And quite honestly, you're going to reach out to somebody else and they're going to go, we don't know. But if, but if you can, again, be intentional about it. If you get a job, if you're able to get a job at a radio station, hanging banners and, going out and helping with promotions, do that, but
Mm.
also be intentional about it and let somebody know, hey, my goal is to be on the air. How can I be on the air? How can I go further with this? Don't just show up and get your $10 an hour, $15 an hour, or whatever they're going to pay you, and do your 3 hours, setting up the freaking tent at a car dealership,
Well,
and then let that be that. I mean, the one after I worked for free washing the van and sweeping the parking lot, which by the way, I grew up on a farm, so I know what work is, and that was, like whatever. And I realized that was the ends that was what I would have to do so then I could go, okay, look, can I go into this room here? What are you guys doing here? Oh, we make commercials in here. Oh, okay. Well, could I go in there and just like play radio? Is that a thing? Do you guys do that? And they're like, oh yeah. Here, just go ahead and then record yourself. And then, okay, then can I take it to you and you'll tell me how bad I suck? And they were like, yes, we will absolutely tell you how bad you suck. And instead they were like, huh, you're pretty good. You're okay. And so by the time I got to my 16th birthday, and it was a small station in a small town, but I was doing, 4 shifts a weekend. And they
sure.
were, 3 of them were overnights, but who cares? Because then I got to do whatever I wanted to. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. I got to try things and learn how to fail and, and learn what worked. So
That's perfect. We got a couple more kid questions. We'll go with a couple more and then we'll let you go because I know it's kind of late for Eastern Europe kids. One of the kids wanted to know, they wanted to know a little bit about your philanthropic work. So can you talk a little bit about like the background of Toy Drive and then like how it started and how it's grown over the years?
and again, I could do an hour on this, but the idea was at first there was a new morning show. We were bringing a new morning show into Las Vegas and kind of wanted to make a splash, but also I knew that if we were just doing a stunt, it would just be another stunt. So we wanted to do something that would put some good out in the community. And I'd always kind of had this dream to do something like this ever since I was a little kid. My thought was, you live on top of a thing and you raise $10,000. I thought it'd be a ridiculous amount of money. Oh, $10,000. And then, you stay up there until you raise the money or whatever. And so Toy Drive kind of came out of that. If you would have told me that 20 some odd years later that we'd be saying, well, how much do you think you've raised over that time? And you add it all up in your head and you go, well, it's got to be at least $40 million. And that would have become people's holiday tradition and something that they look forward to. I wouldn't have believed you. There's a part of me that still doesn't believe it. And, and again, I think you have to be intentional. And I think you have to know it's not going to happen right away. Nothing is going to happen overnight. Those stories don't happen. 90% of the people that you see that you didn't know yesterday, but you know them today, they worked at it for years. And a lot of the stuff, if you do see, like social media stars that come up and they blow up, they're gone. 99% of them are gone as quickly as they got there. And the other 1%, the other small number of people work hard every day, churning out content and coming up with different ideas and being interesting. And it's hard work being interesting. So that, and it's the same thing with any sort of, like we were talking about the philanthropic work, it's effort. It really is. It's just effort.
Oh, that's great advice. And those of you who didn't study about his background with the Toy Drive, it is a huge event in our community in this part of America where they are raising money and they're getting toys for kids at that are low socioeconomic that might not have a Christmas. And so it's been a huge important part of our community.
It's kind of you to say. It really
well, no,
is.
it's true. I
I mean, every
volunteered
time
on it
every time I
too.
hear it, it's like, are you kidding me? There was the
Well, send me that picture. We'll put that in the video. We'll put all that in the video for
Done.
the edits. So Roberta, did you want to ask your question? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Here, you can, yeah. So Roberta, are you in Italy or Spain?
Yeah, I'm in Italy.
Okay, if you want to ask your question, go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to ask you if you felt like a fly on the wall when working. Do you hear me?
I can now.
Okay, okay. I want to ask you if you felt like a fly on the wall when working with important people as like an underestimated worker there.
So when you're working with important people,
yep.
How do you deal with that? Because I know that you guys had Justin Bieber early on before he was even famous. I remember when he was like a child. And so like how do you deal with all these different personalities and all these different individuals?
In the early part, when you're not used to it, obviously it can be intimidating. You have to remember it's just people. So yes, if somebody's a celebrity, it's cool, but they're a celebrity because of what they've done, not and sometimes of who they are, but it's still just a person. And my advice, be interested and remember what you're there for. Remember why you were there. And I can also tell you this, if you're prepared, like if you're going into an interview with somebody that you really admire and or I don't care if it's a world leader, a politician, or a celebrity, or whoever it is, do your homework. Go in again. You'll hear me say this all the time. Have a plan. The more work you do ahead of time, the easier it is at the end. And a lot of people will say, if I can be allowed to, kind of pat myself on the back just for a second. A lot of people say, "Oh, you make it look so easy." I grind. I work. I'm behind the scenes, and it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I study. I plan. I'll know the names. I'll know what I'm doing. I'll know who I'm talking to. You don't just go. You don't just walk in and go, "Hey, so hey, so and so. Nice to meet you. So, what are your influences?" It's the ask questions that. First of all, if you ask stuff that you care about, most likely everybody else is going to care about it too, to a degree. And if you really care about it, and if you think, and if you've got a question you've always wanted to ask it. Don't never be afraid to ask a question. But don't do what you think you should do. Do what you feel like what you ought to do. Now, I realize I've spun away from your question a little bit, but if you're doing those things, that person sitting across from you is just a person.
That's a very good point right there.
Connect with them as a human. Connect with them as a person. We've never met before. I feel like I know you a little bit. You're in Italy. It's in the middle of the night. You're interested in broadcasting. I think that's amazing. And already, like, I don't know you, but if you said, "Hey, I need your help," I'm in. I'd do it. Because you took the time.
That's some solid advice. And we have one more question before we let you go. We'll kind of follow it up with this. As these kids kind of go off in the world and figure out what they want to do, whether it's in broadcasting or something else, as you, Chet Buchanan, someone who is accomplished in his field, what kind of advice would you have for them as they figure out who they want to be?
Oh, I bet you can guess. Work hard. Yeah. No, get to work. I'm telling you, the way the world is right now, because we are so caught up in social media, stardom, we're so into celebrity, we're so into how we feel, we're so caught up in superficial things, how we look, what other people think of us, how we perceive ourselves. There's such an opportunity for you to outwork anybody next to you. There's such an opportunity. Just go in and ask what can I do? What can I, and if you ask those things and if you seek that out, what can I do to get better? How can I succeed? How can I succeed the fastest. And people will, and then but then you've got to follow through, and you've got to make it happen after that. But there's a lot of room for that in the world right now, of just, I'm willing to delay that gratification. What do I have to do right now to get from here to here in the quickest way possible?